There are moments when the body breaks, when the skin, the blood, and the bones betray the vibrant song of life within us. Pain moves in quietly but surely, wrapping itself around our ribs, stealing our breath, and slowing time to a crawl. In those moments, when the voices of doctors weigh heavy and hope feels fragile, there exists something deeper, something ancient and powerful, a whisper, not of medicine or machines, but of something greater. That whisper is prayer. Not the delicate, rehearsed prayers we recite for comfort, but the raw, unfiltered ones, the kind that pour out from the gut when tears blur our vision and strength slips through our fingers. This kind of prayer is not passive. It is thunder wrapped in silence, power veiled in humility. It does not drift aimlessly. It strikes fierce and direct, reaching beyond the veil of fear and despair, all the way to the heart of the divine. In that sacred place where desperation meets unwavering belief, a miracle does not take time to arrive, it comes instantly. Because when prayer is born of truth and fire, healing is not a process, it is a revelation. You see, this is not about ritual. It is not about perfection. It is about declaration. It is the spirit standing up inside the broken body and shouting, I am more than this disease. I am not finished. I am still here. And the body listens. The cells respond. The sickness pauses, if only for a breath, because in that moment, it recognizes that it is no longer welcome. Do not whisper your truth when the heavens are waiting for your roar. Do not kneel with trembling hands when your spirit is a blaze of sacred power. Speak boldly, believe fiercely. Let your words rise like smoke to the stars. For the body may be flesh and bone, but the spirit is fire, and fire does not beg to burn, it burns. So when the world says it's over, you look up, dig deep, and let prayer rise, not as a request, but as a force. Because sometimes healing does not come in slow steps. Sometimes healing comes in a second, in the space between heartbeats, when faith decides it is stronger than fear. And you, yes, you, were born with that kind of faith in your bones. There is a sacred kind of prayer that is born not from memorized lines or ritual repetition, but from the place inside us where pain meets desperation. This is not the gentle, curated prayer that fits neatly into ceremonies or quiet moments of peace. No, this prayer is ragged. It is screamed in silence, wailed into the night, cried out through clenched teeth and sleepless hours. It does not seek approval or decorum, it seeks transformation. This prayer is not concerned with how it sounds to others. It is not a performance. It is an eruption of the soul. It is truth bleeding out from the deepest wound. And in that sacred honesty, something extraordinary happens. It is not the eloquence that moves the divine, it is the sincerity. When the human heart lays itself bare, trembling but courageous, the heavens do not hesitate. They lean in, they listen, because what comes from the core of your being carries a frequency that vibrates with the infinite. It disrupts the illness, it interrupts the decay. It speaks to the cells and the bones and says, remember who you are. Remember you were made to live. This kind of prayer does not wait. It does not ask permission. It moves in a flash because it is aligned with a force beyond time. It is prayer stripped of performance, prayer that demands nothing but brings everything. When you pray from that space, you do not beg, you declare. You claim what already belongs to you. You remind the universe of its promise. And in that instant, in the sacred trembling between word and wonder, disease has no ground to stand on. It must flee because your truth has taken up too much space for it to remain. The body is a vessel, a remarkable architecture of biology and breath. It carries us, protects us, allows us to experience the world through touch, sound, and movement. But as wondrous as it is not the whole story. Beneath the skin, behind the heartbeat, beyond the limits of flesh, there lives a spirit too vast to be contained. That spirit is fire. It is eternal. It is divine. And while the body may break, weaken, or falter, the spirit does not. The spirit remembers the blueprint of wholeness. It remembers what it is to be well, even when the body forgets. And prayer is the voice of that spirit. It is not just words. It is the spirit reaching up, reaching out, reaching beyond the brokenness to reclaim its truth. When you are sick, it is easy to become identified with the body's struggle. You begin to believe that you are your diagnosis, that your identity is written in test results or medical terms. But you are not what has happened to your body. You are the presence within it. You are the light that refuses to be extinguished. Prayer reconnects you to that truth. It awakens the spirit and allows it to speak louder than the symptoms. When your spirit rises, the body cannot help but follow. Maybe not all at once, maybe not in a way that science can always measure, but make no mistake, the body responds. The cells remember the command of the soul, and healing begins, often suddenly, often inexplicably, because something ancient has been reawakened. It is not magic, it is alignment. It is the moment when spirit takes its rightful place as master and the body yields to its wisdom. There is a kind of faith that lives beyond reason, beyond logic, beyond what the eye can see and the mind can explain. This faith is not built from evidence. It is built from experience, intuition, and the knowing that does not come from books or theories, but from the soul itself. When sickness strikes, the logical part of us wants to understand it. We seek answers, causes, treatments, and timelines. We map the terrain of our pain with the tools we are given. But faith walks a different path. Faith does not need to understand to believe. It does not need proof to trust. It steps forward in the darkness, not because it sees the end, but because it knows the light is coming. Prayer fueled by that kind of faith is electric. It is the bold refusal to be defined by circumstances. It is the belief that healing is not only possible, but imminent. And that belief is not naive. It is powerful. It is not an escape from reality. It is a deeper dive into the truth that reality can change. In the moments when everything logical says, "You are finished," faith rises up and says, "You are not through yet." It becomes the breath that carries the words of prayer like arrows into the heart of the unseen. That kind of prayer does not bargain, it commands. It proclaims what the soul already knows, that healing can come not in weeks or months, but in seconds. Because when faith speaks, creation listens. When faith speaks, disease loses its grip. Faith is not blind. It sees through a different lens, and it dares to speak life where others see death. That is the kind of faith that heals. That is the kind of prayer that transforms. There is power in the spoken word, a force ancient and holy, woven into the very fabric of creation. In the beginning, it was the word that brought light. The universe responded not to action, but to utterance. And so, when you speak with faith, when you release words charged with conviction, the universe must move. Prayer that heals does not tremble, it commands. Not from arrogance, but from knowing. Knowing that the words we speak shape the world we live in. When your mouth aligns with your spirit, your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes decree. Words are not just tools of expression, they are agents of transformation. A prayer spoken with authority is not a wish, it is a weapon. It cuts through doubt. It slices through fear. It reaches into the body's disorder and calls forth alignment. When you say, "I am healed," You are not ignoring the pain. You are overriding it. You are placing your truth above your circumstance. And the body, the cells, the very particles of your being begin to echo what they hear, because the body is always listening. It listens to fear. It listens to despair, but it also listens to faith. And when your mouth proclaims what your soul believes, miracles begin to move. Sickness loses its foothold because the authority of your voice has made space for restoration. Prayer must be spoken with boldness, not doubt. It must rise from the gut and be spoken out loud, not for others to hear, but for creation itself to respond. The word is the bridge between the invisible and the tangible, between the spirit and the skin. Speak with intention, speak with fire, speak healing into existence. And watch as the power of your voice reshapes what you once thought was unchangeable. Miracles move at the speed of belief. There is a false idea that miracles take time, that healing is always slow, that change must crawl its way into our lives like a hesitant visitor. But there is another truth, a deeper one. Miracles move at the speed of belief. When your spirit aligns with divine power, healing doesn't have to tiptoe in. It arrives. It bursts forth. Because belief creates a landing place for the impossible. The moment you believe, not with your mind, but with your whole being, healing can happen in an instant. This kind of belief is not a mental exercise. It's not a statement you repeat to feel better. It is full body agreement. It is when your mind, heart, and soul all say yes in unison. When you stop hoping timidly and start believing fiercely, in that space, there are no delays. The divine is not slow. It is immediate. It moves at the pace of your agreement. If you believe healing must take months, it may. But if you believe it can happen now, if you open yourself completely, healing can be sudden, complete, and undeniable. Belief is the activator. It is the green light. It is not about convincing a higher power to move. It is about removing the barriers within you that keep you from receiving what is already flowing. Healing is not withheld, it is offered. But it can only enter a heart that is ready to receive. And readiness is not passivity, it is active trust. It is the boldness to say, I do not know how, but I know it is done. In that moment, the miracle does not hesitate. It races toward you. Because belief makes room for it. It clears the path. It swings the door open wide. And when that door is open, healing does not walk. It floods in. Sickness is not sovereign. Disease may be loud, but it is not sovereign. It may speak, but it does not speak the final word. There is a throne inside you that does not belong to pain. There is a crown above your spirit that illness cannot touch. Sickness can inhabit the body, but it cannot own the soul. It is a visitor, not a ruler. And like any intruder, it can be cast out. The problem is, we often give it too much authority. We repeat its name more than we speak healing. We believe its timeline more than we trust divine timing. But sickness is not the king. Your spirit is. And prayer is the act of reclaiming the throne. When you pray, you remind your body that its master is not the illness. It is the divine within you. You take the crown off the disease and return it to where it belongs, on your head. When you pray with authority, you shift the power structure. You dethrone the diagnosis. You say, you may have entered, but you will not remain. Prayer does not deny the presence of sickness. It denies its permanence. It does not pretend the pain isn't real. It declares that pain is not final. You are not a victim of your body. You are the vessel of divine life. And that life is undefeated. So when you pray, don't kneel to the illness. Stand up to it. Speak to it as one who knows their royalty. Command it to go. And do not waver, because sickness has power only where permission is granted. Revoke that permission. Reclaim your health. Announce that your body is sacred ground and no disease is welcome here. Prayer that heals in seconds comes from that place, a place where sovereignty is remembered, where fear is evicted, and where the soul rises and says, "This is my body," and healing reigns here. So now let it be known, healing is not some distant dream locked behind the doors of time or trapped in the hands of fate. No, it is here. It is now. It waits not on the clock, but on your courage. Prayer is not a whisper into the void. It is a summoning, a sacred uprising of spirit over suffering, of light over darkness. When you pray, not politely, but powerfully, not timidly, but truthfully, you do not beg for healing. You command it. And when that kind of prayer rises, fierce and full, it shakes the heavens, it stirs the cells, it confuses the disease, because the body remembers who it belongs to. The soul steps forward, and healing happens, not because you earned it, not because you fought for it, but because you believed. So speak it, claim it, live it. You are not just a survivor, you are a testament, a walking miracle, a living fire. And the next time sickness tries to enter, may it find the door locked with faith, barred with truth, and guarded by a voice that knows its power. Because you carry within you a prayer that doesn't wait to work, a prayer that heals in seconds,